All right. Do a test stream here. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute. See if anybody shows up. See how, first off, how the internet works here. We'll find out. Do, 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 do. God, I can't even read the comments. Hey, Scotty, how are you? Oh, I'm back. Yeah, I know. Do I ever really leave? Probably not. At least I don't think so. Maybe I do. Let's see. You know, I have to say this is a little confusing on YouTube. That's why I don't like streaming directly from them because I feel like it's always difficult to find a damn stream. So I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, this is coming out pretty well. Yeah, I haven't really spoken to him or KS in a while. It's been quite a while since we've all spoken. I don't know why. Just been, I guess, busy living our lives, right? It's how it is sometimes. Do do do. Probably won't be on long today, but figured let's do something. Let's pop out this chat. Maybe then I can actually read it. That would be good. Oh, no, that's way too big. That's what she said. Oh, I just lost my pop-up chat. So it's been a while. I'm just trying to sit here and get back in the swing of things, that kind of stuff. You know how it is, right? When you haven't done something in a while, kind of want to get back into it slowly. Yeah. So we'll see if anybody even shows up. So again, like I said, this is very impromptu, as you can tell. Shut that down. So yeah, so basically got this set up here, as you can see, just trying to figure out better ways to present, I guess, change the dynamics, make it a little bit more comfy. I think that's better. It's funny, when you're streaming and you're looking at it here on the screen, it looks so much different than when you're recording a video. The recording, obviously not having to worry about Wi-Fi so much, but you're just getting a better quality, video. Plus, YouTube only streams in 1080p, which is, I guess that's good for most people. Makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't think you're breaking down to buy that thing. I think that thing is a pretty solid firearm. I've been very happy with the MC9L that I have. That's a great gun, and they make great stuff. They do. They make very very good firearms. Albeit people will bitch about the politics behind it. When they complain on their Chinese phones, but at the end of the day, it's a great firearm. You're going to probably love it. I think there's something about those guns that really hit on everybody's I think importance level. Ergonomically good triggers, fairly reasonable costs, which is great. If you're watching YouTube, which I'm sure you are, you would think you'd have to spend $1,000 on the brand new gun that everybody's talking about and saying, "Oh my God, it's the best gun ever." But the reality is, you don't. You know, I have a gun in my hand here, so I can't show it, obviously. But do do do. So if anybody would like to ask questions, you can. Like I said, not sure how long. Probably do this for like 30 minutes or so, and then go from there. Appreciate the thumbs up. I don't know. We're going to see if we can reboot the channel a little bit and get things going again. I wanted to, I don't really know if there's an interest in the channel. I've been watching some good channels. Um, but it's hard because you want to kind of, not fall into the trap again of saying, "Oh my gosh, I have to have this in order to compete with everybody else." But I don't really want to do that. Really, a SAR is a Jam-O-Matic. That K2, that's the one it looks like a CZ, I believe, right? Like almost like a shadow. Am I right on that? I'm gonna look it up right now on my phone. Nope, not even close. It is sort of CZ-ish, I guess. This might be some burrs or something. Who knows? Oh, I'm not surprised you didn't get any notification. That's not a shocker. You know, Nothing seems to surprise me anymore. But like I said, this channel has been pretty much. I got to do this, guys, to readjust my camera. I know it sounds retarded, but in order for the focus to come in, sometimes I have to do that. But it doesn't surprise me. I mean, this channel's been dead for months, so that's probably why you're not getting anything. But I do appreciate you stopping in. And like I said, we might be doing this where we're starting slowly and trying to get some ground underneath our feet again, and then see what we can do with the channel. Polish the crap out of the chamber and the feed ramp. Is it still jamming after that? If so, that's no bueno. No, not really. I like I said, I haven't really been doing much of anything. Obviously I put out that last video, which was very brief, based on my drama in my life. But yeah, I really haven't been doing much. I mean, I just haven't done anything. And I think I kind of got caught up in this idea that after a while you just get tired of the same old, right? So greetings from Switzerland. Well, hello, Switzerland. Wow. Yeah, that's kind of crappy. So what brings you here? Celtic 87, I think that's what it says. I think it says Celtic. I can't tell because my screen is so far away from me that even with my contacts in, I still can't read it because the damn writing is so small. Thus, the disaster of getting old. So, yes, Celtic. Good. So I can still see some things. Fantastic. So, how is the weather in Switzerland? Just out of curiosity. I know up here in New York, it's been freezing cold. We've had snow. We had freezing rain. I mean, the wind up here has been intolerable, but it's been super, super cold. So, I'd like to know how the weather is in Switzerland. -9 degrees Celsius. Yikes. Pretty cold. Yeah, Switzerland's on my bucket list. One of these days I'm going to get there. But I say that about a lot of places I don't want to go to. But, I think one day I'll be able to do it. Hopefully in my retirement, I'll be able to see some things that I haven't seen before. But here, Switzerland is beautiful. Obviously, I've watched videos and seen pictures, so I could tell it's beautiful. But I'd like to go. Is that Jura or Juna? I'm gonna try to blow that up so I can actually read this shit. Nice. So I got a question for you, Mr. Switzerland. What are the gun laws like that out there for you guys? Yeah, that's kind of the hard part. You know, I actually was making a video tonight about what would be the first gun people would actually recommend to new owners or new gun people. You know, and I think that's kind of the hard part of everything because, you know, if you watch YouTube, you would think you'd have to spend an arm and a leg, and it has to be the most newest friggin' firearm on the market. But you know, crazy enough, that's not the case. I mean, there are some really good bargain prices to be had right now on some excellent firearms, and I think for the new gun owner, they're benefiting in such a way that I think many of us didn't. Um, but yeah, so just for suppressors, uh, I mean, God, I can't even get a suppressor here in New York. Can't even own one. It's great. It's great unless you're law enforcement or something. So God bless the Swiss. Um, But, you know, one of the things I said in the video was I was talking about the gun that I chose, and I'm going to show the gun, but I'm going to tell you what it is. Um, you have to watch the video, but I wanted people to kind of chime in with what their recommendations would be because you can't even tell anymore. I mean, YouTube has become so like convoluted with just all the new stuff, and you know, it's just I think you kind of fall in line with that sometimes, but you got to realize that, you know, the new stuff that's being paraded around, none of that stuff is free, and none of that stuff is, you know, getting delivered to you free of cost to yourself, right? So, you know, if you have somebody who's, you know, looking at the next 2011 from let's say Kimber, that gun's like $2,000. Who the hell's going to buy that gun? Nobody. I'm not going to buy that gun. I would never buy that gun. Yeah, it's nice to look at. It's nice for someone else to shoot it, but when they recommend the gun, it's like, well, who the fuck is going to pay that? I'm not paying that. That's crazy. You know, some would say, well, it's quality over quantity. I disagree with that. I think it's quantity over quality. I mean, that's just my bottom line because you'd be surprised. You can find very affordable firearms that are very high quality. Thus, to me, making it more important to have multiples of them as opposed to only one of them. P10C, great gun. Love it. I love the P10C. You know, I guess when I release that video, it might be tomorrow, it might be the next day. I have no idea. But because I have to do some B-roll for it, you know, I think many of you will be watching it and going, aha, I agree. So I'm going to say that. I'm not going to say much more than that. But, you know, yep, the Macs are pretty decent, I hear, and fairly affordable, right? Like, you know, there's some like the Ernox or whatever it's called. Like, I like that gun, but it's $1,000. And at the same time, is there something more affordable, or you know, maybe not? I hear it's a great gun. I love the fact it takes Glock mags, but you know, a lot of times I feel like you know, I feel like you don't necessarily have to get that gun, right? If you're looking at a great gun that's you know affordable, I'll tell you right now, I would tell everybody to go look for Beretta APX A1s, whether it's full size or compact. Those guns are going at such low friggin' prices right now. It's hard to imagine, you know, seeing that quality of handgun going for maybe three. I mean, and that's pushing it. So I think that for a lot of people, there are so many good guns out there right now. You can find Gen 5 Glocks, not the Vs, but the Gen 5s, and a lot of police trade-ins right now that are going for three. So I mean, it's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Yep, Germany chose the P10C, the P13 military designation. Yep, that's pretty cool. That's a great contract for CZ, but it's not crazy, right? Because you know, I think, and again, we could talk about Glock all night long, right? Am I excited for the Gen 6 Glocks? I mean, sort of, I guess, in a way. I think a lot of the things that you saw with the Gen 6 Glocks. Now, again, if you watch YouTube, you would think that, oh my God, this Gen 6 Glock, it is the best gun ever. And you know, maybe it will be. But if you really carefully and objectively watch the videos and you look at the gun, it's a nice looking gun. I think they've done things to the frame, especially that bring it up a notch from where it was, and I think it brings it to a level of competition for other guns that have come out that have already had those features. I mean, if you look at a lot of the gosh, I mean, look at the Shadow System series. Although they're a little bit more expensive than they should be, in my opinion, they do a lot of those things. If you do, oh my God, the name's escaping me. Shit, my God. Why can't I think of this gun manufacturer? The ones from Israel. Come on, help me out. Bull Armory. If you look at the Bull Armory striker-fired handguns, the Cleaver, the Hatchet, whatever the hell they're called now, those are great guns. Those were fantastic guns. The grips were nice. The ergonomics were good. The trigger's excellent. The features list on it is good, although they're expensive, right? You look at the Ruger RXM. RXM's okay. It's a little plain Jane. You know, the grip module is okay. Nothing great. But still, they did a lot of things with that gun that are a little bit better than what Glock was showing. So while Glock Gen 6s are coming out, you know, they've got the extended beaver tail, the texturing's a little bit different, the pick rail, the MOSs. I'm not sure whether or not you can use a plate or not. If it's a plate system, then it's bullshit in my opinion. But you know, I think the Gen 6 will be a huge seller, of course, but is it anything leaps and bounds above anything? Not really. Not really. Would I like to get one? Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting a Glock 19 Gen 6 just to see what it's all about. Yep, the angle's still the same, and from what I gather, it's a little bit thicker in the grip, which, gosh, it looks like they have like made palm swells in the polymer, which is kind of interesting. Scott saying he can't figure out why Germany went with FDE when there's not much desert in Germany. It's a great question. Maybe because I don't know. I'm not even gonna lie. Maybe they're planning on a war in a desert somewhere. I'm sure they'll have different derivatives of the gun. I mean, you know, there are P10Cs that you can get in OD green. There's a limited run on those. They're available. You can find them. You just got to look for them. You know, and they're nice looking. I love OD green and FDE guns. I mean, that's just kind of my thing, but they're there. They're available. Let's see. APX was surplus from military upgrades that the new A1s have now. Nice. Bull Armory EDC 4.25 used, and it's great. Very nice. FN 509 with the Apex trigger is nice too. It is, but I find like the FN series are just, they're overpriced. You know, and the reason why I'm saying that is because they're reliable, they're great guns. We all know that, right? But I would say they're kind of overpriced. When you're seeing other firearms and manufacturers that are just as good quality, just as reliable, that are coming in for $400, $450, but this gun is still in some aspects commanding over $500, $600. So not sure. $850? Holy shit. Is that for which gun? Wow, that's expensive. Yeah. Well, they do have the green P10Cs. Now the slide is black, but the polymer is OD green. It's the same thing as the OD green P10S and the P10F. From what I gather, they had a very limited run of them. And if you get it, it comes in a package. So you get a soft case, 3 magazines, a plate for it, which is kind of cool. And it's worth it. It's worth it. And it's under $500, which is worth it. And who knows? You might be seeing that soon from me. I'm not sure. Yeah, Glock 45 Gen 6 would be kind of cool. I always said that the only Glock that I liked recently was the 19X, which is basically the 45. But, you know, if I was going to get a Gen 6, might be the Glock 45 because I like the ergos on it. I like the grip. I just like the balance of the gun. Very well balanced handgun. Yeah, CZ is famous for limited runs, and then when you think there's no more of them, they come out in 6 months again. So they're kind of, you know, their limited runs are never limited. It's just, you know, they're not all the time. Glock should be under 600. I absolutely agree with that 100%. Glock should be about 500 bucks. That's what I think. I think 500 is reasonable. You know, there are some things about the gun. The trigger actually looks like it's an aluminum trigger. So again, you know, depends. I don't think anybody's really said it, but you know, as of videos I'm watching, it looks like it's an aluminum trigger, not polymer, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, don't worry about it. Nobody's getting notifications. This was kind of impromptu. If I ever, you know, get my shit together with this channel again, you know, maybe I'll I'll give you guys more than 10 seconds notice. And like I said, I don't plan on doing this long tonight. It's just to kind of reinvigorate myself to do this stuff and to see what the response is from all of you guys watching it. And we'll see. But I appreciate everybody who comes in. I appreciate everybody who wants to hang out. Looks like there's only 5 of you, but 5 is better than 0. Yeah, I saw they used to have the SP01s in green and in FDE. But those, man, those are like, forget it. You can't find those anywhere. You can't find them anywhere anymore. And it's funny, you can't even find the P07s in OD green anymore either. FDE, forget about it. Those came out, they're gone, long gone. But the OD green P07s, forget it. You can't find those anywhere. And I mean, obviously, if I was going to buy another CZ like P07-ish gun, I would not buy the Nocturne. Not a fan. Looks nice, but I still love the P07. Not gonna lie. Anything new? Not really. I wouldn't say new. I'd say some things, but nothing that you would consider new. Like I haven't gotten any of the new IT guns lately. I'm not doing that. Like I just, you know, I kind of thought about it. Excuse me. I kind of thought about it, but then I started saying to myself, what's the point of buying all these new guns and like for a video? And then you kind of re-examine everything and you begin to realize that maybe the most important gun videos I've made have been with guns that everybody can afford, that was in reach of everyone, you know? And I think a lot of times in YouTube world, the people who make these videos, they forget that, right? They forget that the average person is watching this and the average person is looking to find something that fits their, you know, their budget. And everybody's budget's different, right? There's going to be some people who can afford a $2,000 gun. Me, I can't, and I'm not going to buy one like that. Even if I could, it would have to be something crazy. Like I'd pay like $8,000 for an Alien or some shit like that. But other than that, to me, getting back to the roots of it and saying, hey, what are really the importance of having guns? Is it about, you know, advertising for these gun companies, or is it about getting practical products that everybody can afford, you know? And I look at a lot of the things that I kind of passed on, like a lot of people take a dump on Olight. You know, I don't really blame Olight for trying to get into the market. Just like I don't blame any of these budget optics like Zulissi or Siley Optics or any of these other companies, because there's an abundance of people out there who cannot afford a $300-400 optic or a, you know, $200 light. So if you have people who can then buy things that are going to still be effectively useful and more importantly, somewhat reliable, why do people crap on them so much, right? Like it's stupid. You know, the Echelon, I looked at those. I don't know. There's just something about them that they're nice and all. And there's something I just don't connect with that gun. I don't know why. I don't know why. Yeah, I like looking at guns that are different colors. I mean, some people always say that's stupid, but you know, I kind of like that. I like FDE, I like OD green, I like gray. Anything that's kind of out of the normal, I think is kind of cool. Yeah, and I've had Siley optics, I've had Zulissi optics, never had an issue with them. And you know, some people will sit there and say, "Well, we're going to do a reliability test," and then they, you know, stand on a 5th floor terrace and throw it off the damn 5th floor. Well, I mean, of course it's going to break. I mean, it's not going to last. You know, I had one company send me an optic that has thus since then changed their names like 3 times, and that optic was a piece of garbage right out of the box. I didn't even present it in a video. It was not even worth it. It was such a piece of garbage. But Zulisi and Siley, I've never had any issues with it. They've been very, very practical. They've been very efficient, very usable, and they're as reliable as a Holosun. Maybe they don't look as pretty, but they are as reliable. No, I do not paint them. That's the one thing I don't do. I tried it once and it just came out like shit. And I said, I'll never do it again. Yeah, and Holosuns are good too. I mean, I'm not saying they're bad or anything like that. But again, they've gotten further and further out of the reach of the average person. And I think that's where things are kind of getting like lost, right? Lost in translation, because every YouTuber is saying, yeah, I've got this gun and I have the newest Holosun here and the newest this, that, and everything else. But what they don't tell you is they didn't buy it. They were given it. And, and not saying there's anything wrong with that. If anybody wants to give me shit, no problem. Send it to me. I'll use it. I'll advertise for it. No problem. But I'm going to tell you, right? I'm not going to convince you to buy it, especially when I didn't. Oh, you do Cerakotes. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't do anything fancy like that. No free lunch for me either, my friend. That's funny. So, so no, nothing new because, you look at some of the guns that have come out. I mean, what has really come out? A lot of 2011s, right? High cap 2011s that I can't own in the state of New York. More importantly, a lot of these guns are, 1K up, and I'm just not about that anymore. Like, I don't want to be about that. I want this channel to be about that. I want this channel to be about practicality, right? You don't need to have that in order to be a good gun owner, right? And I think that's sometimes what's getting lost in all of this crap. Yeah, I haven't seen the O-Site stuff. I mean, I haven't had anything. They reached out to me once before, but I kind of was like, no, thanks. If they reached out to me again, I probably would do something just to kind of check it out. But like I said, no, I haven't had any experience with any of 3 of those, actually. But like I said, Siley has been pretty good. What's the other one I said? Siley and shit, I can't remember. Yeah, I've heard Primary Arms are decent. Not too shabby on those either. No, those days are over, my friend. And I was never in that. I was always in a fire truck, actually, not in an ambulance myself. Let's see. Yeah, and it's a sad thing too, because when you think about, and again, this is what I'm saying. So like, if you look, and I would ask you to go to that famous website where everybody goes to buy guns. Starts with a G and has a B in it as well. But if you go to that website, and I would tell any of you who are watching this, go look at APX A1. Just pull it up, see what comes up. You're going to be amazed at the prices of those guns. And some of them are on bids, and some of them are, buy now price. And it's insane. Like, when you watch that gun at one point was like a $600 firearm. You'll be lucky if you see it for 50% off, if not higher. And so, how could someone make a video and say to all of you, hey, you need to buy this gun because it's brand new, but it's going to cost you about $900, $600, $700, $800. But just a few months, maybe a couple of years ago, they said, oh, but look at the APX. And it's already forgotten, even though that APX is still an amazing firearm. Yep. Yeah, I know that about the Springfield. Yeah, I have tried that and it didn't work. Believe me, I've tried every single thing you could think of. Every single damn thing. Yep. Is that the original APX or the A1? Yeah, even the originals are pretty damn good. Although I got to say, the new slide on the A1 is pretty sexy. That's a sexy looking slide. Let's not lie. It looks good. It looks better. Definitely looks better. First gen, yeah. The only thing that I would say about the APX, and it was the first gen and the second gen, I just could not shoot that damn thing very well. And somebody responded on my video saying that it's either you or the gun, and probably me. I mean, I don't think I said it was. I don't think I blame the gun per se. I think it was just me. I just couldn't shoot it. It just shoots low. It shoots low for me. I don't know why. It was just shooting not where I wanted it to, and plus I had some issues with the slide coating. It was flaking off, so that was kind of the turn off for me on the A1. Looking at it now, whatever. But for me, a brand new gun like that, it just didn't hit the marks that I thought it should at that point. Obviously, it's on fire sale now, but I would probably get the compact until you added the optic. Interesting. And again, one of the things I don't really care for with the APX, like other guns, is it's got a plate system. I just wish manufacturers go away from plates and just let you put it right on the slide. I just think sometimes that might be better, but teach their own. .226 shooting low. I love my .226. I love that gun. It's a great gun. Yeah, I only had really big issues with the APX A1. I just didn't like it. That's incredible. Yeah, it's great. That's a great price. I mean, like I said, how somebody could go out there and not see that and recommend, hey, go out and pick that gun up, because it's just a great bargain. It's just a great friggin' bargain. And if you want to go lower than that, I mean, you can get a T-Shiz, although their prices have come up a lot too. They came up with of course, the ported model, because every goddamn gun in the world now has to be ported. Which I think is stupid. I mean, I don't agree with that at all, but teach their own. Really? I mean, the SRT is great. I love the SRT. Love the SRT triggers on SIGs. Why, hello, Armsman. How are you, sir? Rob, how's it going, buddy? Yeah, it was a rough start. If you didn't see my video before this live stream, unfortunately my grandmother passed away, which was a big hit. Great human being. I mean, she was 94, lived a great life, but it was a big loss for our family, because she was just an amazing human being. So I appreciate the sympathies, but like I said, if it's selfish to want to keep somebody around who was starting to, you could see the decline, so to speak. And, there was some suffering towards the end, not dramatic or terrible suffering. But towards the end, it was hard to say goodbye, but she was surrounded by her family, and, she was able to go peacefully, which, thank God. I mean, that's all you could ask for, to be surrounded by people who love you, and to limit the suffering as much as possible, to go peacefully. And, I'm blessed with having a wonderful grandmother. I just turned 51, and I had her 50 years. She died a few days before my birthday. But, I had her for 50 years, and both my children knew her. She saw them graduate high school and went to college, so how many people can say that? I mean, there's not many people who can, but she was an amazing human being. Yep. And, there was some mourning, definitely, because you do have that love and that desire to see the person and talk to them and hear them. But at the end of the day, 94, man. I don't think I'll see 94, but yeah, she was phenomenal. Just an amazing story. And I have no problem ever talking about her because she is a much better person than I could ever be. So I was blessed, man. Totally blessed. Yeah, I don't know if I'll see 84 either. I don't know if I'm going to see 74 at this rate, but it is what it is, right? So live your life, live your life. So Armsman, I'm going to hit you up for a discount code or something. I need a couple of holsters. I got a cool gray gun that I was looking to get again, and I found it. Man. I'm so psyched. Had it a long time ago. One of my favorite all-time guns ever. Like a fool, sold it because in the life of a YouTuber, you got to sell shit in order to make get new shit. Yeah, it's a Walther PPQ in tungsten gray. That's right. And they don't make them anymore. And I had one, and it even had a blemish on the slide. This one I found on GB, of course, and I found it again. I said, I'm all in for whatever it's going to cost me. And it didn't cost that much, thank God. But it was fucking beautiful. Yep. Factory tungsten. It's one of the nicest PPQs ever made. I had that in the FDE. Sold them both like an idiot. But I always said if I could find that sucker again, I'd buy it in a minute. And I sure did. So I'm super excited. The PPQ, in my opinion, and you guys can take a dump on me all you want, but that PPQ, in my opinion, is still better than the PDP. Still better. I just, ergonomically, it's identical. The slide, so much nicer. And but it doesn't have an optic capable slide. Don't care. Still got a great trigger. Still got good ergos. Super reliable. Just a great friggin' gun. P99, great gun. People take a shit on that gun too, but that gun's awesome. That was the first Walther I ever bought, was the P99. Yeah, the Apex trigger is pretty sweet. And crazy enough, Apex doesn't make the damn trigger anymore for the PPQ. As far as I know. But I guess you can get the new Walther trigger, whatever that trigger is, the one that's in the pros, and put it in the PPQ. But you know what? I'm kind of happy with what I am or what I got. So rain in Seattle? No way. Yeah, I was looking at the P99 final editions. I was trying to see if I can get one cheap because I remember when they first came out, they were like $1,000, and then all of a sudden they bottomed out. Nobody was buying them, and I think the reason why is because I just think that nobody's buying because they're overpriced. And honestly, that gun is kind of like you got to have a certain taste for that gun, right? The double action pull is long as hell. Yes, it has the anti-stress trigger, which is amazing. And if you guys have never actually pulled that trigger and felt the reset on a P99, highly recommend it. It's absolutely the best Walther trigger that they've ever made. That's just my opinion, of course. Yes, the Walther performance trigger does fit the PPQ. So that is true. And I don't really like the PDP either. I like the PDP-F, and I like the grip of the PDP-F. What I don't like is the ridiculous slide. And this is something I would say to all of you too. Like, for those of you out there who were thinking about getting the PDP because everyone's telling you, oh, it's so great, I still don't see it, man. The PDP is just, it's top heavy. The slide is like a friggin' block. Say whatever you want with it, right? But if you look at the prices of those PDPs and then compare it to another gun that has a blocky slide like that, you're stupid not to go with the APX. Because the APX, while the trigger isn't anywhere near as good as PDP, that gun reminds me a lot of the PDP. Maybe just not as blocky. No, you're not excited for the Glock Gen 6? I was talking about that earlier. Like, I don't think it's horrible. I just don't know, like, and again, is it revolutionary? It's absolutely not. I don't think it's anything big. I think it's as good as what other gun manufacturers have been making. I just think Glock had to do something because what are they going to have, the Gen V or Gen 5 Vs? I mean, that was I don't know, just stupid. Yeah, and I agree. Like one of the things, and yes, it is like a high point. And what I would say to you is when they were first coming out with the PDP, dude, I was so psyched. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be great. And then you looked at the slide and you're like, what the fuck? Because the thing is huge. It's bulky as shit. And you could sell me on the slide serrations or whatever, but guess what? The reason why those slide serrations are so deep is because you got a hunk of steel on top of the actual ergonomic grip. It just didn't do anything for me. It still doesn't. So, and like I said, if you want to go look for PPQs, you can find them all day, every day for cheap, bargain price basement. I've been looking at PPQ M1, with the paddle, just because it's the paddle. And I've been finding those for 300. So. PPX. Man, I remember the PPX. When it's funny, the Creed was like a modern version of the PPX. That's basically what it was. You thought the PPX was junk? You should try the Creed. Although the Creed wasn't horrible, but it was just a weird gun. Like it didn't serve a purpose. That's the kind of the funny part about Walther is they have so many good hits. Excuse me. But some of the misses are so horribly missing. And you guys know the CCP is my all-time most hated firearm ever created. That gun is the biggest piece of shit ever. I hate that gun. And it's just a piece of crap. I've had every single derivative of the CCP and none of them worked. None of them performed the way they should have. And you can say whatever you want. There's always people bitching on those videos saying, you don't know what you're talking about. My CCP has been so reliable. But I'm going to tell you, like, I'd love to see what the results are of your shooting that gun over time. I guarantee that gun can't last 1,000 rounds. Yeah, the Creed was like a Walther high point. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you, I think the CCP videos are like the only set of videos that I received the most hatred over. And I don't even know why. Like, it just is not a good gun. I mean, it should have been a really good gun if it wasn't the gas blowback system, or if it was, maybe not built in Umarex and instead was built in Ulm. Maybe they could have built a gun that was functional and a better gun. But that gun, it was a piece of crap. The gun is a piece of garbage. I still don't think that gun should have ever been made for a 9mm. I think it should have been made for a 380, and that's it. I think the 9mm does not work with that firearm. And when you have the haters coming at you and you say, well, which one do you have? They say the 380. It's like, well, no shit. The 380 probably works better. But yeah, I just couldn't stand that gun. I saw a PPK on sale. It was actually used. Wasn't impressed with that gun either. I know it's a classic, blah, 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 but yeah, it never did anything for me. That's true. If you want a 9mm under $400, if you pick something other than a P10C or any P10 really, or a Beretta APX, you chose the wrong gun. I mean, I also think that, one of the cheapest guns that I own, and I still have it because I can't sell it, it's not worth anything, was the T-Shiz PX9. That's a very reliable gun. That gun I've never had a failure in that gun. And that gun probably has about maybe 2,500 rounds through it, 3,000 rounds, close to that. And every time I go and shoot it, I love shooting it. It's super, super flat to shoot, super, super reliable. The trigger's excellent on it. Obviously, maybe over time things will break. Apparently, allegedly, they don't use any MIM parts in it. That's all allegation, of course. But, I do like the PX9. Yeah, it got banned. I don't even know why. It just vanished. So I had to reopen it. I just followed you again today. But yeah, so I redid it, and it's the same name and everything, except for I added the number one. And to this day, I still don't know what the hell happened. But yeah, I had to redo it all, um, which kind of sucked, but whatever. And the crazy thing is, no one's following me. I have one follower, and that's Craig. Craig's the only follower I have. You know, a lot of people will say that the Turkish guns, it's Turkey, whatever. Um, you know, huh? I don't know. You know, it's like I don't know. I have to check it because I've tried to get into it and I can't. I can't get into the old one. So I had assumed that I was banned. So I don't know. I'll have to see. Actually, you know, I can probably find you, Rotodima, and then I'll just have you follow me. Let's see if what's yours. Tell me what yours is, and I'll do it right now. Yeah, I don't know. But my handle is I don't even know what it is. It's 1776 or bust one. That's it. But yeah, Canic is very good. I don't have any problems buying Canic. Yeah, and the P99, I mean, it's just it's totally different type of experience with that gun. But I would recommend anybody who likes the Walthers, you know, in order to be, in my opinion, a true Walther person, you had to have had a P99. And I've owned every Walther. That's why I always laughed when people were giving me shit about the CCP. They were like, "Oh, you just hate Walther." I've owned three PPQs, a P99, a PPS M2, PPS M2 RMSC. So I've had them all, like, and they've all been excellent, super reliable, fantastic firearms. The only one that sucked was that CCP. I owned the Creed. The Creed wasn't that bad. And keep in mind, a lot of the Turkish guns that look like Berettas, like Stoger and stuff like that. I mean, they're all tooled on Beretta machinery, so they're basically the same thing. I do like the TTIs; those are pretty cool from Canic. Those are pretty nice. But if you, I don't know if you have access to G Broker. I can't see. I don't know if I can say that word. Gun broker. You know, maybe you can find it cheaper on there. I believe you can, but I'm not sure the laws in Switzerland. So, right, it's pretty nice. It's a beauty, man. That was like the first thing I could say in a while that I've been excited for because you know, like I should never have gotten it. Should never have gotten rid of it. They don't. Those are long gone. PPQs are discontinued. They're not making them anymore. That's why I'm saying you can find them cheap. And if you're a Walther fan, I would get them because they're so worth it. But that was so unique to find that when I saw it, I'm like, holy shit. And I just did it randomly. I put PPQ tungsten and it came right up. So, oh yeah, those commercials. I'm making money. Whew, thank God. I'm probably pulling at least 35 cents tonight. So, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm gonna try to get things going back on with this channel and see. Yeah, the smoke gray. What do they call that one? Is it smoke? What is that one? The new one they call the TTI. I can't remember, but they have the original one, and then it came out with the dark one, which is really nice. Yes, many, 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 many moons ago, I bought that. Absolutely. That and the Urban Gray one. What are my thoughts on Stogers? If it's a Cougar, I would buy that. Only because you're talking about a gun that was created by Beretta that they are just using the same machinery on to create. I haven't heard too many negatives, but not a lot of positives about their striker fired guns. There's a couple of guys out there on YouTube who have been doing some videos on Stokers, and they're saying that they're fantastic guns. I mean, if you want, buy one. You're not going to lose much. But what I would say is, if you don't want to keep it, you're not going to be able to sell it because it's not going to be worth it. So that's the only negative side. Like, for example, the T-Shift, I got that gun for less than $300, and there's no way I'm selling that. That's never going to be sold. I can't get anything for it. Yeah, the P01s, man, fucking best gun ever. Yeah, she was an amazing woman, man. Amazing, just a great, like, when I say, like, like, how can I describe? I actually was going to make a video about her, and I just don't know how to put it in words, right? But what I would say to you is that this was a woman who came from nothing, like nothing. When I say nothing, I mean less than nothing. Poverty, no family, came to the United States, worked in sweatshops, wound up getting educated and made something of herself, and then traveled the world with my grandfather. I mean, just an amazing story, man. And I have to say, like, you just don't see people like that anymore. You just don't. She was a woman ahead of her time, for sure. She was a wonderful, beautiful woman, and the best grandmother any boy. I said this at her funeral. She was the best grandmother any boy could ever ask for, and the best grandmother any man could ask for. And she was just an amazing human being. I said to my wife, "You want a gun for a first buy? What the price of mags and then spare parts?" Well, I mean, you could argue it would be a Glock, right? Because there's so many spare parts everywhere, depending on the generation, right? But I don't know, man. I would say, I still say the P10C. I mean, it's just a great gun. I love that gun. It just depends. Depends on the budget. 1911s. Yeah. Right. Yeah. HK. I mean, should we talk about them? I mean, they make good guns, but are they overpriced? Oh my God, they're fucking overpriced. One of the most overpriced handguns in the world. And you could sit there and say, well, it's because they make everything great. Well, other manufacturers make great firearms. They just don't charge you $900 for it. Overpriced. VP9, most overpriced handgun. Absolutely 1000%. And it's funny, like, nobody will make these videos out there on YouTube because they know what will happen. They'll get skewered by the HK fanboys, but they're the most overpriced guns on the market, period, bar none. And you can say, oh no, the Glocks are. No, it's not the Glocks, it's the HKs. Yeah. And the P30s are a great gun too. But funny enough, the P30, I couldn't shoot that gun either. I don't know what the hell it was about that gun. I had a P2000, which I love. P2000, I love that gun. I had a P30, but I was like, I can't shoot it. It was hitting everything low. It was very similar to my APX experience. It's very strange. And absolutely, the APX A1 Compact is a fantastic gun. And more importantly, it is super cheap right now. So if you're looking for a super cheap firearm, go get a Beretta APX A1. It's great, good quality. You're not going to necessarily have everything and anything you want for it, sight-wise, but there are some sights. They do have I'm trying to remember who makes the trigger shoe if you want a new trigger. The trigger's not that great. I mean, it's a pretty heavy trigger, but I mean, overall, it's a fantastic gun. Uh, yeah, I mean, the PX4 is a great gun too. Another unheralded, gun that has been passed by from, just more modern stuff. I do wish they would redo the PX4, man, and just make it a little bit more modern. Um, and when I mean modern, just a little bit better ergonomics and definitely better texturing on the grip. But those would sell. People would love those guns because of the rotating barrel and the fact that it's reliable and all this other nonsense. But, just a couple of little things here and there, man. All right, everybody. So we are going to be coming to an end here in about 1 minute. So I do want to say thank you to everybody who joined me here on this impromptu chat. I promise that if we move forward and do these things, I'll have a little bit better visual quality. I don't even know how this looks right now because I am streaming directly through YouTube. Normally I don't, but hopefully it came out pretty well. But I do appreciate everybody stop by. Rob, I am going to hit you up. No offense, especially for that PPQ. But I definitely want to do some things with the channel still. I mean, there's still that desire. Maybe, we'll see how it goes. I'm not sure. But like I said, I always appreciate everybody who stops in and talks and chats. I hope everybody has a great new year. I hope everything this year for all of you in 2026 is going to be great. I think, I just think doing this is part of what I do. And I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to hustle. I know I'm not as good as a lot of the other gun channels out there right now, believe me. There's one guy who I really enjoy watching, although I get a feeling he's becoming a little bit more of a shill. But that's something Tony. You guys know who I'm talking about? I just find him hilarious. He's the guy who says, "Don't be a dumbass" after every short. But I like his stuff. I think he's fucking hilarious. I just hope he doesn't sell out like everybody else does. But anyway, guys, again, have a great New Year's. I hope Christmas and Hanukkah and whatever else you're celebrating was great. But we're going to keep pushing, man. We're going to keep pushing it and see where this goes. And like I said, maybe one day we'll actually, we'll actually make it big. So we'll see. I know, Rob. I'm going to be shilling here pretty soon. I'm not going to lie. I'll hit you up with what it is. It's actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. I was very surprised when I received it, but it's actually pretty good this time. But we'll talk. All right, guys. Hope everybody stays safe out there. All right, and enjoy your time with your loved ones because you never know when it's going to end. See you guys.